Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to talk to you about transportation. 1 billion people in the world today do not have access to all-season roads. 1 billion people, 1/7 of the Earth's population, are totally disconnected from all social and economic activity for some part of the year. We cannot get medicine to them reliably. They cannot get critical goods. They cannot get their goods to market in order to find a sustainable income. Now, mainstream thinking suggests that these nations should invest in building roads following the lead of the developed world. Well, it's a pretty tall order. It's estimated it's going to take sub-Saharan Africa 50 years to catch up on road infrastructure. So we saw this and we thought, can we leapfrog? Can we put together a solution using today's most advanced technologies that will allow these countries to catch on to the next paradigm of transportation? After all, many of these nations have excellent telecommunications today, but they've never put copper lines in the ground. Can we do the same for transportation? Imagine this scenario. You are in a clinic in rural Africa, and you have a baby in need of urgent medication. What would you do today? Well, you would place a request via mobile phone. Someone would get the request immediately. That's the part that works. The medicine may take days to arrive, though. That's the part that's broken. Imagine if we can deliver the medicine within hours or even minutes with a small, autonomous flying vehicle such as this, or this over here. This can transport a small load today, about 2 kilograms, and travel a short distance, about 10 kilometers. But it's part of a wider network that may span an entire country, maybe even the entire continent. We call this Matternet. We believe this can be the next paradigm of transportation using 3 key technology components. The first is unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. Little vehicles like this one, they travel autonomously between landing stations. That's the second component of the technology. Landing stations swap batteries for the vehicles to fly in and fly out again, or pick up or deliver loads, help them to do that. The third component is the operating system that runs the whole network, that optimizes the routes of the vehicles through the network and guarantees the security and the safety of the whole system. Again, the key here is the autonomy of the solution. There's no humans involved. These vehicles fly following GPS waypoints. They fly at an altitude of 400 feet to allow us to have them segregated from all other air traffic. When they arrive at the ground station, they land vertically, autonomously. They swap a battery and fly out again, or they pick up or deliver a load. They can travel a distance of 10 kilometers in just 15 minutes. And I want to show you what this looks like. This is a video from this vehicle over here. We were out in Haiti last month, and we're doing a mission here in one of the camps in Port-au-Prince. We're landing just outside the tent that houses the clinic and do a medical delivery. There's no infrastructure involved in this one. We think this could be revolutionary. Imagine if we connected all rural clinics in Haiti, or in Mali, or in South Africa, in a network that allowed them to get medicine with 0 time lag, or allow them to send samples for diagnostics for HIV, for TB, again, instantly. What's the critical component here? The cost. Today, we have a cost of 24 cents per delivery. That's doing one delivery means 2 kilograms over 10 kilometers. We want to see this dramatically improved over the coming years. We are riding a wave of amazing technological innovation that's happening in this space. In academia, in the open source community, technology that is trickling down to the military that will allow us to do this at scale. One of the most exciting applications we're looking at that will allow us to scale is transportation of small packages in megacities. We're building megacities at an unprecedented rate today. What they share in common? Congestion. We think we can do last mile delivery transportation in megacities aerially by creating a system of transportation that sits between the road and the internet. So imagine this. Imagine if Matternet was the next big network we created across the globe that would allow us to do for transportation what mobile did for communications. Thank you.
In emergencies, seconds count. An estimated 1,000 savable lives are lost a year because of slow emergency response in the nation's biggest cities. But in traffic-jammed urban environments, how can a four-wheeled ambulance be expected to make it anywhere and back quickly? Design firm Argo Design has a wild conceptual solution. It's a one-person ambulance drone modeled after a standard quadcopter driven by a GPS pilot, or a combination of both that could be dispatched to an emergency scene with a single EMT. It's designed to land almost anywhere, thanks to a footprint the size of a compact car. The EMT stabilizes the patient, loads him up, and sends him back to the hospital for further treatment. Obviously, it's not a thoroughly vetted concept, but I think it's extremely intriguing where drones might show up, says Mark Rolston, founder of Argo Design. It would be nice to see them used this way, rather than another military function or more photography. The idea was born from a team brainstorming session around how healthcare could become more accessible. The designers first thought about how they could build a better ambulance, and the rise of autonomous vehicles inspired them to consider a self-driving ambulance. Then they thought of helicopters and drones, and the rest developed from there. Assuming you could build it, the drone's benefits would be significant. A single pilot, who would usually fly a single helicopter, could manage a whole fleet of drone ambulances remotely, relying on autopilot through the skies, and taking over manual controls only during more complicated takeoffs and landings. There's also the issue of price. Rolston believes an ultralight drone could be constructed in the $1 million range. That's several times more expensive than a wheeled ambulance, but still cheaper than a medical helicopter. It's basic product innovation: faster, cheaper, better, Rolston says. Many more of these would cost less to service. As wild as the idea may seem, it's not entirely implausible. Drones exist, they are getting better by the day, and they're about to take over our skies someday. Autonomous drivers will be on our streets within the next year.
Robot boats and drones. The future of disaster relief is happening right here in our backyard. Experts from the National Weather Service, Texas Task Force 1, the National Guard, the American Red Cross, and several other first responders were on hand as they learned how drones could be used to prepare and respond to all types of flooding. First responder Stephen Rutherford says technology like this can help save lives.
That will assist us with doing our recons of flooded areas to find, victims that are stuck on roofs and stuck in trees.
Leader of the project and director of Texas A&M Center for Robot-Assisted Search and Rescue, Dr. Robin Murphy says there's one main reason they're focused on this specific disaster.
For the next 2 years working on flooding, because that's the #1 disaster in the United States and the world.
Now during a flood, instead of putting an actual human in the water, they can use this remote operated vehicle. What it'll do is it'll keep humans in the loop, but out of harm's way. And by providing images of what's below the surface, first responders can identify hazardous materials before sending humans to the rescue.
Okay, so this is the SEI quadcopter. It's known as the DJI Phantom quadcopter. It's got quite a big lithium-ion battery in that gives you a flight time, well, the maximum flight time is about 25 minutes, but with a safety margin that's about 20. And it carries a GoPro camera on the front to allow you to take either videos or stills, depending on what you want. And it's on a controlled gimbal, so you can adjust the angle of the camera in flight to get the shot that you want. The camera's got a wireless connection to a tablet, so you can actually see what you're filming as you're flying and actually control what the camera's doing that way as well. So that's what we've got in here. So we're working at the Arboretum Trust out at Castle Coward, and the task that they'd like us to help with is they've got a database of all their trees that are in the Arboretum. What they haven't actually got is a map to locate where those trees are. So as a starting point of completing that survey, we've been collecting some high resolution air photography to stitch together to make a really detailed map of the Arboretum, and based on that we can actually go round to the trees that are all tagged to locate where they are on the ground based on the photograph, to link the database to actually the location of the trees on the ground in the Arboretum. So that's what we've been. Well, I think there's a variety of things. So I've already been talking in the EPSRC co-motion project, and what we're thinking there is to actually try and use this to fly the routes that older people use within towns, so that we can film the hazards and the issues that they're confronting from above, to get a better feel or to be able to communicate those problems maybe to other people. Then there's the option as well of taking off the GoPro and maybe fitting some other kind of sensors on the front to either record different types of pollutants or maybe look at things in different spectrums of light, so looking at infrared perhaps, or looking at heat from buildings, so doing those kind of surveys.